The next point is we're going to Seymour. What's Seymour getting out of this? Luxon likes to tell us that Seymour's, there's been a compromise. He's not getting his referendum, but he's getting his bill and it's going to have its day in court. Seymour has won completely on this one. 6 months of a select committee.
Right.
Getting the bill in the public domain in this way gives him the opportunity to stomp up and down the country, stirring up racism.
And
I know, and we've had this debate before, but that is exactly okay. But let me finish.
I apologise. I think on the last week's show for calling somebody an anti-Semite when my blood pressure got the better of me. I was wrong to make that statement. You do not have a window into somebody else's soul. We've had this discussion with you before. It is a lazy and...
It does seem a little bit more on edge about these accusations than perhaps he once was. I wonder what that's all about.
It's always difficult when it hits close to home.
Yeah.
Seen the racism he stirs up. I've seen it.
Hang on. As the Māori,
that is utterly despicable to accuse somebody of racism.
Let me share something with you.
So we'll come back to you.
As a Māori in the room, I feel downtrodden, I feel suppressed, I feel hurt. I honestly do feel that a pack of racists are coming for me and my people. For what? For some political outcome? So, yeah, the feeling, I'm sorry, is real. I do feel that there is a significant racist element to this discussion, and I know this because when you have a look at the people that comment on things on social media, in community groups and chats, it's just incredible. It's like a typhoon of hatred has been loose in this country by one man. Who then walks away from the grenade he's thrown in there and said, oh, no, I just want to debate. Well, actually, that debate is seeing people call other people the worst of names. And not only online, but in person, in workplaces, at parties, in bars, on streets, in supermarkets. This is what is going on as a result of this debate, and the very real fact that we're having this discussion.
Yes.
And I'm surrounded by well-meaning, lovely human beings who happen to be Pākehā. As the Māori in the room, I'm telling you, I am hurt, and that is a fact.
And is that a justification to silence the debate?
Well, hold on.
We're not talking about silence. The debate isn't silence. The debate silence a debate in this country.
How have I, as a Māori, attempted to silence this debate in this country that has been going on for decades?
Because justification.
You are saying that David Seymour is stirring up racism.
He is
by having
it's
that
a
issue.
fact. He is.
It's actually on some level quite a gracious thing that he's saying, because he's actually not calling David Seymour a racist. He's saying
he's stirring it up.
He's stirring up racists. And Damien Grant seems particularly nervous about accusations of racism at the moment. But what Matt's actually saying is the vernacular, the things that David Seymour is talking about is stirring up racists. He may or may not think David Seymour is. I don't know. But he's saying it's being stirred up. And then he's giving the evidence, which is his personal experience, that he is seeing racists and hearing from them. And this is where perhaps there is some a word that may offend some people, but it's real life. Certainly for Matt Tukaki, and maybe many other Māori or Pacifica people around the country at the moment, who from people who are feeling emboldened by this quote unquote debate.
Creating an operating environment, Damien, where people think that it's okay now to come out of these dark corners and call me a nigger. And that is a fact. People have called me that word, and I hate to say that word, but that is what I get called. Now, that makes me cry.
Simon, hasn't the left... Simon had another point.
Well, I was just going to say that if we go back to the treaty,
yes,
the treaty is a contract.
Yep.
The treaty is a legal document. It is a founding legal document in this country, and it is essentially a contract. And the contract isn't among all New Zealanders. The contract is between the Crown and Māori, their representatives being the rangatira.
I thought it was the chiefs. But that's a big difference. And you go back and you read.
I feel it's all lesson coming on.
Well, that was one of the issue in the Lands case. The issue was this a contract between the chiefs, the iwis, or was it a contract between the races, a treaty between the races? They are different concepts, Simon. The distinction, I think, is important.
Simon, hasn't the left...
No, Simon, you want to continue that point.
you might have to think about the meaning of rangatira, but it is a contract between the signatories, and as a contract between the signatories, if there is a demand for the nation...
Can I just say, not to interrupt, just want to put this out there. I love Simon Wilson. He's lovely.
I would listen to that man read a phone book.
Oh, I just love what he's about to say. I know what's coming. Some of you do. I love Simon Wilson. I would bear his children were it possible.
Between the signatories, if there is a demand for the nation as a whole thinking, are we going to rethink our founding documents? Are we going to do this process? You don't start with stirring up the racist. You start with the signatories to the document and their descendants actually having a properly formalised discussion. If the Crown thinks that we should reform the Treaty of Waitangi, the Crown needs to be talking to iwi, to the leaders of iwi, about what that might mean. Though I don't think the Crown does think that, so we shouldn't be having this discussion in the way we are having.
Let me read this fact to you. This is something that has caused me a lot of angst in the last 24 hours. It's from somebody online who says, hey, iwi, if you want to save your dying language, you can pay for it and do yourselves and do it yourselves. It's not up to the taxpayers. It has zero value. This is the sort of individual in our country that David Seymour and his ilk are stirring up. Sadly, it is the same sort of ilk that have been hiding in the dark corners of our lounge rooms across the country for some years now. And also, the rubbishing of Te Tiriti o Waitangi is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for a long time. And so, you know, what value is this creating to a country that's trying to project itself forward as a great nation, as Christopher Luxon might call it? We're not a great nation. We're on the cusp of looking like a pack of heathen idiots.
All right.
So, I love Simon Wilson. I love it because it's true. I don't love it because we've said it as well. I love it because it's true. We've used the example, I've got a contract with my bank. The neighbour doesn't get a chance to speak into my contract with my bank. And that's been the example we've been giving here all year about this quote-unquote referendum, is that there are two signatories to this document. There is Māori and there is the Crown. I'm sorry, Mr. Seymour, but no, not everybody who arrives in the country gets to participate in that contract by deciding what's what. And it's exactly right. And we've echoed that here as well. If you want to have this conversation, and remember, even Chloe says this conversation can be had, but she always says, but you don't approach it with a binary outcome. So these conversations can happen, but to have these conversations, you speak to the signatories. The Crown needs to approach Māori, or maybe Māori wants to approach the Crown and go, look, we've got this agreement, guys. We've got this deal that's going on. Should we have a look at it together? No, not the latest person who's moved here from Greenland. They're not going to have a say in our contract because our contract is between us two. I mean, they can be the beneficiaries of it by living here and, you know, the way we set it up, but they don't get to jump in and say, this is how this contract should be. I've been in New Zealand for 2 minutes and I don't really know your culture.